Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIII. So now we're playing as Vanille. Yay!
Woo!
Again, look. At this point, while Vanille is guilty of peer pressuring Hope, that's the worst that she's done.
So
as
far,
as we know.
That's the thing, Joe. But remember, we already went through the for the whole thing, like you yourself said, where she stereotyped. Well, no, not she. Like the game did that whole thing with Sazh with that.
Oh yeah, with Sazh, that too.
So that was the first thing. But don't worry, Dwibs.
That one out from memory.
But don't worry, Dwibs. We have more issues with her. It's not just that.
Okay, that said, let's assume that she didn't mean the absolute terrible implications that move gave. Okay, so she's essentially acting like a cliche magical Genki girl, essentially. Fine, fair enough. And again, sadly, the sad thing is that with the cast of characters we have, despite her annoyingness, at this point in the game, she is not the worst character. By far. Like, Lightning's terrible, Hope's terrible, Snow... Okay, look, if you're really annoyed by his stupidity, then he's terrible. I'd still argue not as terrible, but I can get why you would find him terrible.
Oh, this is damp.
For me, it's one of those things, Jova, where for as bad as Lightning is, and I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. She's not the sole cause of all of this game's problem, as in the stories, as in the problems of the world in this story.
Like I said, Pedro, as far as we know at this point.
Well, yeah.
I'm sort of going somewhere with that.
Sure. So yeah, basically now we have a lot of flans. So basically, make good use of your magic, which is why I'm using the dual casting paradigm.
Oh, weird. In here, I thought it was just
5 stars.
Automatically. Oh wait, that's right. Never mind. You're using the paradigm for that. That's one of the few things that you actually do properly control gameplay-wise.
Yeah, there's one thing we didn't mention about it. One tiny thing that's probably unintentional, but you can actually take advantage of in gameplay, or potentially disadvantage of, is that the first time you apply the paradigm shift in combat, you get a small extra animation looking at each character doing things. This starting from the second onward, instead it happens automatically without there being animation of looking at the character. You can use this essentially being the equivalent of a animation cancel that you will do in stuff like, say, a fighting game, in order to apply an action, and when you switch immediately, you have an entire turn filled in automatically that you can use immediately after.
Trust this, audience, you want to use this, because believe it or not, you can die while doing the paradigm shift. If, say, you're incredibly low on health, if you're doing the paradigm shift and you randomly get the longer cutscene, an enemy can one-shot kill you.
It's not random, Joe. Like I said, it only happens the first time you do it in one battle.
Oh, no. From my recollection, you can apparently randomly get the longer scene.
Well, anyway.
Are you sure? Well, okay. Regardless, though, even with that in mind, you can still die during the paradigm shift. Because an enemy can still sneak up on you and get you while you're doing it.
Again, it's the kids of the game once again constantly loving to just jiggle its dick in front of us, because the game is so like, even the animations are unnecessarily prolonged, like even to the extent of to the expense of gameplay fairness, just so that the game can flounce its pretty graphics on us even more. This game has such a huge ego that it's just like.
I know that some
people could jump that far.
Gameplay story segregation, but yeah, that's the thing, folks. So again, some may argue, well, technically, you don't have to do everything automated. Okay, let's ignore the fact that it's stupid that you have to go out of your way to keep the game from being automated. But okay, fair beans. Here's the problem, though. Most often than not, with all the micromanagement that goes into battle, and if you want to get through it fluidly, you're gonna want to do the auto battle, because in fact, you can't.
Hey, Sazh.
Yeah, by all means, Sazh, you're our favorite, so by all means, flesh your character out.
I have a little boy. Oh, so you're married?
I was.
about that.
We gotta get you home. Your son needs you. Come on, we'll make it.
I buy your optimism.
It's too late.
Is it the Lassie thing?
How'd you...
You might be a Lassie, but you're still a daddy.
You're right.
So, what's his name?
Billy.
His
You'll
name
see.
is Flashback.
Well, guess what, Dweebs? Apparently, Sazh and somewhere also at the firework of Bodum.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Of course.
but
A lot of
He
people.
is.
I mean, a lot of people go. Okay. A lot of
God,
people go to fireworks festivals.
What is up with this generation of consoles and really creepy-looking kids?
it was definitely a growing pain of the time where, consoles wanted to try and go for them realistic-looking graphics, which led to a lot of uncanny.
Well, yeah,
valley.
but here's the thing. There were games that even did this well, so it's not like it's a matter of just that this can't work. It can work. There were games
No, Pedro. I never said it can't work. I'm saying it was about of growing pains, where, yeah, some aged better than others, but like I said, there were a lot that aged
Sure.
badly in hindsight.
I think it's more so that look at Saz's face. It's abundantly clear that his character model was given much more care than Dodge's character model.
Yeah.
And I can understand. I could understand. Okay, hold on. This is important, actually.
Is it just because he's early in the game, so they didn't feel the need to?
Yeah, basically. But hold on, I'll get. But you basically got it right, Shira. Yes.
You alright?
That is one of the side effects of this growing pain age.
Come on, Pops. You really got to keep it together, okay?
God, you
Stop with the nickname.
it was so brave of Toriyama to not give any kind of charm to this character, Vanille. I mean, like, seriously, every time she speaks, I never buy anything she says. Like, never at all does she ever come across as an interesting or charming or even remotely appealing character. Like, and one of the big reasons is because of the voice acting. The voice, I just can't stand George's performance. I have nothing against the woman. I'm sure she's a nice lady, and she does seem like a nice lady in interviews. But damn.
We've
Okay, I get.
discussed it before. It's more voice direction and like
Yeah.
meaning it's
Yeah,
not
yeah, I
entirely
mean-
her fault. Like
Yeah, like I've listened to at least I've listened to at least 2 Final Fantasy games that the voice director did, and a lot of people talk about how he's one of their favorites to work with. And I'm like, why? Because you don't have to act much when he directs you.
Yeah, allow me to.
Trust me.
I
Like,
mean, okay. I'm being a bit unfair there. I mean, he might be a good voice director everywhere else. It's just
again, Dwibs, like I mentioned before.
Wasn't he the voice director
The
of
voice-
12?
oh no.
maybe he's just a fun person to work with.
Jack.
maybe.
Jack,
Yeah.
let me see.
If I may finish, the matter is, again, like I mentioned before, the guy's thing was that, let's not forget, we had a bit of a Sonic Adventure 2 state where the Japanese division were calling some of the shots with how the localization and voice direction would go.
Yeah, same thing
Again,
here.
because, again, basically it sort of went in how they thought us Americans would prefer the voice acting to sound like. So, essentially, let me put it like this. Japanese faction tells voice director of localization, here's what we want to go for. He goes down the chain. Think of the voice director in this case as like, and I mean no offense here, essentially a puppet meant to communicate with the English voice actors for the
Right.
matter
And
here
also,
and there.
to answer Pedro's question, yes, Jack Fletcher also did 12.
That is mind-boggling because 12 has one of the greatest localizations you'll find.
This is exactly what I mean.
Well,
though,
he was
like,
voice director, not localizer director.
Well, okay,
And
but
to
even
be
the
fair,
voice acting in that game is much better. That's the thing.
To be fair, Bobby Edner as Van is not exactly spectacular.
Okay. Regardless, though, this is again okay. With the voice director, you can consider it a similar case with the voice actors. The voice director is not to blame.
Not enough sleep?
It is Square Enix that are to blame for this. Maybe some things got lost in translation, but no. a lot of this stuff was Square Enix's decision on how they wanted to direct that. Also, thanks to
Okay,
the boom shot,
Vanille,
Toriyama.
also with the line before, like, is Vanille trying to deliberately provoke Sazh? Especially after he told you that he was married. Not cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
given what we...
okay, keyword being was.
Okay, so knowing what we find out later about Vanille, do you think maybe that was the intent?
Well, I'll get more into her intent later because I don't want to circumvent around spoilers.
I mean,
For
I
now,
mean,
this just seems unnecessary, but yeah, go on, Pedros.
I'll be fair to Vanille. Being made in ice cream isn't exactly one thing I want to happen to me either.
Get it? If she becomes crystal, she'll literally
I love how
Vanille ice.
I love how Toriyama's trying to basically portray her as a Disney princess. Like she's constantly happy. She's even talking to birds.
Guys, we finally have a sense of direction on where we're going. They're going to Nautilus.
Okay.
In the end of the previous part.
Yeah. That being said, the tale. Yes, they're going to Nautilus, but for what purpose exactly?
They
Also,
don't know,
why did the camera blur just then?
I don't know. Someone sprayed Vaseline.
Also, to be fair, in Lightning's case, she does have a plan. Go to Eden, take down the Sanctum Fal'Cie, while going to Hope City to get passage from there, essentially. So yes, we do technically have direction in what the characters want to do, yet it still feels like we lack a sense of direction in the story itself.
It's because okay, let me put it this way. Yes, we're supposed. Okay, first of all, this one. Actually, before I move on, I actually want to address both Shiroi and Jova's points simultaneously because both of them coalesce. Okay, here's the thing about that. Yes, it is true. Growing pains, like Jova said, and yes, like Shiroi said, Daj is a character that shows up barely compared to the others. Like he only shows up like a couple times here and there. Here's the thing, though. Daj is Saz's entire motivation for doing everything in this game. He's his one emotional motivation for everything. He wants to save his son. So you'd think, in order to sell us on those scenes... Oh, go on, game.
I stand and ponder.
What, did his son get turned into that cliff?
You'll see, Dubs. Hold on.
You scared me.
You sound so scared.
And you look scared.
He was trying to ditch her. Of course he's scared.
I can relate.
Don't blame yourself.
Blame the
You
writers.
can't control who a Fal'Cie picks for a focus.
Yeah, blame the writers, because only they can decide and know.
There you go.
Us?
He was picked. He's a l'Cie.
But here's the interesting thing, Dwebs. He's Daj is a l'Cie, but not a Pulse l'Cie. He's a Sanctum l'Cie, meaning he was picked by one of the Fal'Cie from Cocoon.
Specifically, Kujata.
Here you go. Here's the backstory of what happened.
In another place where you see
A5.
only in cutscenes
And this is where we see the primary first reason why I hate Vanille. Oh, look who it is there.
Okay, I love how the cutscene right there and then pretty much spoils that Vanille and, well, certain character. Like, okay, yeah, I know they don't want us to know that's that character, but it was blatantly that character. Even got the blue tunic and everything.
Not just that, Vanille was definitely clearly identifiable, even if you hadn't been paying attention. So there you go, Dwebs. Vanille is apparently responsible for the incident that happened in this place that turned Daj into a l'Cie. Which of course basically spiraled Saz's life into complete chaos and tragedy.
After seeing more.
Oh, sure.
So far, all I've seen is just her putting something on it.
Yeah. Okay, let's be fair at this point. As far as we know, Vanille and... Should I even keep that character a secret? Because...
I've already said her name, go ahead.
Well, we pretty much know that Vanille and Fang were there, which, yeah, the story got ahead of itself, pretty much spoiling that Fang is associated with Vanille in some way.
Do I drink to that?
Yes. Well, okay, hold on. What did they say specifically?
Daj's enemies. The Sanctum sent one of their officers to actually keep an eye on Daj.
Okay,
And yet, even they...
So they specifically said, we're Pulse l'Cie, therefore we're Daj's enemies. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm cutting that.
Also, you noticed that, being branded by a cocoon falsi gives a different kind of tattoo than a pulse falsi.
And
It's
yet,
important.
apparently, despite
this is by the way, this is Saz's second major theme entirely with the harmonica. I get what Masashi Yamazu was trying to do, but more times than not, it's very inappropriate.
Yeah. That's my overall issue with this soundtrack. It's not the worst or anything like that. It's just that there's a lot of minor issues that pile up.
He's probably a crystal already.
So basically, even the people whose job it was to figure out Dodge's focus apparently couldn't figure out what his focus would be.
Yeah, we'll actually get back to that.
Die? Really?
Oh, I thought he was pointing the gun at Vanille for a second.
No.
I wish, Dwibs. I wish.
Chocobo Chick compels you not to commit suicide, Sazh.
But the bird says no.
Oh, that is funny in hindsight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, to continue. Okay. Like I've been saying, growing pains, and like she already said, Dodge's model doesn't show up in the cutscenes that much. That being said, he does show up in important cutscenes like the ones we just saw, that are supposed to, of course, showcase his relationship with with Dash and how much he cares about him and all that shit, right? Okay. So, you'd think, with that in mind, you'd think they would put some extra care into Dodge's model so that it wouldn't be distracting in comparison to Saz's model. I mean, yeah, you don't have to do that for every model, obviously, but Dodge's model, while not of a main character, is an important character. Therefore, he should have gotten some basic, decent facial animation treatment, but he didn't.
Okay, Pedro, I'm gonna ask, since you know more about this more than me, does the infamous development of this game have anything that might explain that?
Possibly. That is also possible, yes. But let's just say, Jova, a lot of shit in this game can be explained, not excused, just explained by the terrible... let me put it... Okay, I'll just put this forward right now. Toriyama is a terrible team leader, and that's all I'll say for now.
So now, guys, get this. Sazh may be an enemy of Dodge.
Yeah, we already took a shot to that, so...
No.
Besides, it has to be a
I'm
game.
not talking about... No, I'm not talking about being an enemy of Cocoon. I mean, he's an enemy to his son.
Yeah. No, I already did. No, but that's exactly why we took a shot earlier, for that specific.
I wasn't prompting you to take
Sure.
a shot.
Sorry.
By the way, interesting trivia, Pedro. I checked a bit. Apparently, Dodge is voiced by Connor Villard, a voice actor called Connor Villard. You know what's the other thing that's in his resume outside of this first game and 13-2?
Monster
And Lightning Returns, I'm guessing?
No. Well, it's not listed, but Ike from South Park.
Oh, really? Well, that makes sense, too. Around this time, they were still using a kid. Later on, when Trey had his daughter was the one... Yes, Dibs?
Oh, Connor Villard, that's Collie Villard's son.
Well, there you go, then. Sazh purchases Chocobo Chick at a stall in Ururi Gorge. Blah. Dodge, however, while his attention is on the transaction, has right into the size of the plant and headlong. This doesn't matter. Anyway,
What about the Jill Nabat stuff?
Trust me, Jova, Jill Nabat, the game makes her seem like she's important, but trust me, she is not. I assure you. The game...
We'll get back to her anyway eventually.
No, here's the basic thing with Jill Nabat. She's supposed to be the colonel of Cocoon's army, so you'd think she would be important, but here's the thing. She shows up a total of like 3 times, and then when her final appearance is, the heroes are all ready to battle her, and then the villain...
Maybe we should hold off on that
story. Sure. The point is, it's a big problem because they don't explain. Go ahead, Theo. Actually, go ahead since you asked.
Well, first of all, let me be more on topic because the thing that I wanted to say was something going to deal about, but it can be said later. No, here's the thing that in hindsight, kind of irks me a bit more than this, and it has become a bit more exacerbated, as we years went by, and my desire for games to actually explain a bit more the concept of missing parents. Not even through the data log, as far as I know, nor via the Japanese exclusive novel. Again, as far as I know, I will try to see potentially in between parts if there is some more information. But we don't know where Sazh and his son lived, who Sazh's wife, what Sazh's wife's name was, nor how she died, for that matter. We just know that is a single parent, that has to take care of Dutch, but we really don't even know where he used to live. We just know that one day he went to, Uride's Gorge, to visit the Fasi Kujata, which is an odd of, the Summoning Spirits reference, to be honest, because it was a one-off appearance, There was an accident, he was branded, and after that, Dodge essentially tried to live still a normal lifestyle until Dodge eventually was obviously
They actually explained that. They actually explained that too. Apparently, Dodge really wanted to see a Falsi.
No. That is okay. The game never tell what Saz's normal lifestyle with his son was before these accidents.
Well, yeah, exactly, Teo. That's the main problem of this story that I've been bringing it up. The primary reason why the story doesn't work, aside from others, of course, but this is the primary one, is that we never get to see the characters in their normal life status. We just immediately see them on their sad, oh my god, my life got ruined status. We never see how their life was before this. That's why we can't relate to any of this. We don't know what they lost.
Here's the problem. For as much as we joke about how bad the story is, this is a complex world. A complex world that is conveyed terribly. Let me put it like this. There are all these complex terms, subsections of organizations and governments, entire factions that are all just name-dropped at the start of the story, where all hell is breaking loose, which leaves the players awfully confused.
Exactly.
And your best way of having any explanation until the story finally gets to it is to look up stuff from a glorified Wikipedia page. But that's the thing. Now, I'm speaking as somebody who actually does get this story, only because I've already experienced it first. If you've seen our original playthrough of this game, you'll know how bone-dead confused I was by it. Mm-hmm. That said, even knowing what I do know now, so I understand it, but it's not really that interesting because, again, we don't get to see any real off time. It's constant peril for the heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if Final Fantasy. Oh.
Basically, the gimmick of this dungeon is just like in that reference dungeon we saw in Stretch of Paradise. You can constantly alternate using those spheres between sunny weather or rainy weather, and depending on the weather, it changes the monsters. Meaning, clever use of the various changes to make your path easier. And you'll see exactly what I mean. Yeah, those spheres modulate. But go ahead, Jova. Continue.
But, imagine if, say, in Final Fantasy VII, the entire tone of the game was how it is during Disc 3, where the music of the overworld is dark, deep, and depressing because, obviously, Meteor is coming. Now, imagine if the entire game was in crisis mode. Okay, I'm not saying that a story can't work like that, but when it comes to Final Fantasy, that doesn't always make for the best type of world. Because, well, essentially, if you're stuck in just one mode of tone or stuff with no downtime whatsoever, well, it doesn't really make the world feel as much worth saving because you don't get to know that world truly well.
Yeah.
Okay, we do technically get one moment that's kind of downtime, and that's when we get to Nautilus. And even still, no minigames, so it's more like just look at the pretty visuals and stuff, but no, aside from that, there is no downtime, no time to reflect, no time to absorb anything from this world.
Yeah, Kojima even mentioned this a few years ago in an interview, that the reason he puts all those fun, humorous, even sometimes fourth-wall breaking stuff in Metal Gear was because, and I'm quoting him right now, going through hours and hours of a game of constant tension will be, as he put it, exhausting, which it is. You know, that's the reason why we do this, because it's exhausting for the viewer to be constant on this constant high state of high tension. You know, and to that's the primary reason why stories like I'll get to it when we get to that game. But Life is Strange doesn't work for similar reasons, where we already start with the characters already sad that Rachel Amber died. You know, even though we never get to see exactly what they lost until before the storm comes in. But but to address Teo's question from earlier, that's the thing, Teo. For a while they were using kids to voice Ike. However, when Trey's daughter became like 7, I think it was 7 years old, she started voicing Ike herself. So that was kind of interesting. But to put up, it's exactly that. See, there's a reason why The Last of Us starts with Joel and his daughter living their normal life, and we even see that Sarah gave her a watch, you know, because that way we can see how Joel's life is before the shit hit the bed, you know. That's how these stories work. Nier also kind of, Nier is kind of a different word. It starts with the world ending, but then after that we do have a moment where either Papa Nier or Brother Nier are living with Fiora in a peaceful time, and blah blah blah, and they're living their normal life, and blah blah blah, and you know, it's the calm before the storm, you know. This is it's a basic necessity of these stories. We need to know what the characters lost to empathize with their loss. If we don't know what they lost, like for example, here's why Life is Strange doesn't work. Oh my god, I lost Richard Ember. Oh my god, I lost my friendship with Chloe. Well, okay, I don't know anything about you two, so why should I care? Same thing here. Like, oh no, Lightning lost Sarah. I don't know anything about Sarah. Why should I care that she lost Sarah? That's basically it. Go on.
Mm-hmm.
No, go on.
If you're willing to stick around with the game, you will learn eventually, and the key word is eventually. Like, believe it or not, there are still some things that we haven't properly learned of that we should have known. And I don't mean in the sense that, like, oh, I feel we should have known, like, I mean legit. In order for the story to have flown better, we should have known this stuff ages ago.
Mm-hmm. All right, see you for the next part, everybody.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.